Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, got a little project I got to work on in the house today. This is something that I've been seeing coming for a while, and I knew it was going to have to happen, and something happened about a week ago that forced the issue, and now it's got to happen. So let me just show you what we're going to do. Anybody who's been watching my channel for any length of time knows that I have a pretty sizable rock collection. And in fact, at one point I was just storing them on top of the table here, and I said, this is getting too much. I need to build a shelf to do it. And so I built this shelf here for my rocks, custom designed specifically for it. I even had that one with a little UV light in it so I could put my UV specimens in there. But by the time I had unloaded all the rocks from on top of the shelf here into the display case below, the display case was already full. So somebody noticed on that I had this desk here that I've had for quite a while and that I wasn't using, and they recommended I transform that into a rock and mineral display case too. And as you see, this is starting to get full too. Now, one of the things I've been trying to do all along is, well, at least kind of from the halfway mark, you know, when I first started, I would just put stuff on the shelf where they look good together. But as I started getting like examples of more than one of the same kind of thing, you know, those are two quartz clusters right there. That's another quartz cluster. I started kind of storing like items together. So for instance, you look at this part of the display here, you know, this is tourmaline, 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 tourmaline. I got like pieces together. Stilbrite, as there are stilbrite and apophyllite and stilbrite. So, you know, that kind of stuff. And I've done it to some levels down here, you know, for instance, this blue and this green stuff here. The green stuff's called malachite, the blue stuff's called azurite, and a lot of times they form together. And so like there's an example of something I have with both on one. There's another example here that's probably more azurite than malachite. But once again, I've stored this stuff all together and kind of kept it organized that way. So like pieces are together. There's also this section here is specifically kind of for my newest and for my favorite pieces because, well, it's just a really convenient place. I can lean right against this little shelf and it's a perfect height for viewing, and I can just sit there. And so, you know, this is where I want kind of my most beautiful pieces. But I also sometimes have my newer pieces in here. So over time, things need to kind of get shifted around a little bit and reorganized, and that all started with this piece here. I picked up this piece a week ago, Gallery 11, and I knew that was going to have to be in this section because this is definitely an amazing looking piece, which meant I had to take other pieces, these pieces here, which had been in there, and remove them and find some other place for them. And likewise, at the same time I got that piece over there, I got these pieces here, so I have to find places for them. Like I said, as you can see, I'm already starting to run out of room a little bit, and still have a little bit of room under there on the bottom two levels, and could probably consolidate and make things work a little bit more in there. But I think what I want to do today is I want to focus on getting this better organized, getting all the like pieces together, so I don't have cases where I have, you know, malachite here and malachite over there, and, you know, amethyst over here, amethyst over here, amethyst over here. You know, I want to kind of have everything together. And so you can kind of look at the similar pieces. Additionally, I need to try and find homes for a lot of this stuff. Like I said, these are the new pieces. But another category I've sort of gotten into a little bit is gemstones, raw gemstones. So for instance, that's an emerald that I picked up. Those two little things there are rubies. That's actually a ruby kind of in a raw form. A couple of garnets, some gold. I love opals. In fact, I have 3 opals here, and I also have an opal over here that I need to do something with and kind of get them all put together. Look at that. I love opals. I don't know, hope the camera's doing justice to that. But like I said, that's a category, the gemstones. I've kind of gotten into these funny little spheres here. I know generally I'm not into the shaped stuff, but spheres, I don't know, they're interesting for me. I also have some petrified wood here that would have to be in its own little subsection. So like I said, I want to pull everything out of here, put it onto the floor, and organize stuff by type. And that's the project for today. All right, a little time has gone by and I've cleared this shelf off right now, and I basically just have everything out here on the floor. And we're starting to see the kind of groups and the way I'm grouping things together. I'm putting all the quartz here, all the tourmaline here, amethysts there, UV reactive stuff there, favorites kind of in the back, calcite, there's going to be a lot of that like there is there. And then there's a lot of things that are just going to not really have a category they fall into. Because I mean, there's, I can break, like I said, a lot of this stuff up into big chunks and it's like, yeah, this is all kind of the same. That's all kind of the same. A lot of these pieces here are unique, and don't fit into any relatively other category. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of laying them out alphabetically. That way at least I'll get like light crystals together. Because for instance, this piece here is called celestite, and I actually have 3 pieces of celestite. So I want to display all 3 of them together and get them, so you can kind of see it in different stages. So that's sort of the thought that's going on here. Got a long ways to go yet, because like I said, I've got this shelf done. Not going to probably do anything on the bottom there because that's already sort of organized. That's my fossil section. Not going to probably do anything here. This will probably just stay here because that's my petrified wood. My spheres are taken care of. My gemstones are taken care of. These will ultimately get mixed in with the collection down here on the ground as we proceed. So I'm making progress. I'll show you what we look like at the end. All right, a little bit more time has passed. I got everything out of the shelves now, with the exception of the fossils, which I think will just stay down there, and all kind of spread out on the floor here in front of me. So, like I said, we have all of our UV reactive stuff here. I'm actually thinking, since these 3 big pieces, this one, and this one, are all calcite, and I have a calcite section over here, that despite the fact that those are UV reactive, I think I'm going to move them over into this collection over here. Because, I mean, even some of this stuff, this piece of calcite here is UV reactive too. I just don't maybe need to have the dedicated UV lights, black lights that are under this section right here, to be able to light these things up. Maybe we'll just put those separate, and we'll just have to light that up with a flashlight. That'll allow me to kind of spread out the remaining little pieces a little better inside the UV section. Additionally, as I said before, the 3 big quartz clusters, they're definitely going to go into the favorite section over here, along with most of the stuff there. I kind of basically filtered out a lot of the stuff that I thought was going to, that had been originally on the favorite shelf, because I took a lot of the tourmaline, this stuff down here. That was the major concentration of tourmaline I had, was on the favorite shelf at the top there. And so by moving that somewhere else, that's going to clear up space here too. I might have to tighten stuff up to make some of this stuff fit, but at this point now, I think the next step is to start putting stuff back into the shelves. And I like the idea of having things kind of alphabetized by type. Remember I told you a little bit ago about the celestite I had, and I have 3 pieces of that. I have this big one, this medium one, and this small one. And by keeping them all together, like I said, I think it'll look good. I have a bunch of agates down there. And so those will all kind of be together in one place, and that's going to be kind of great. So like I said, I want to get this all kind of, reorganized a little bit, making those changes I've already talked to you about. And then let's start putting stuff back in the shelves. All right, I got everything back into place. I'm actually surprised it fit a lot better than I thought it would. Granted, I did have a couple spots that I wasn't utilizing. I wasn't using much of this. I was using only about half of that. But, you know, I took all the fossils, for instance, and kept them down there because they've been here all along. And I moved my petrified wood in here. That just seemed like a good match because, I mean, there's not really much of a difference between the stuff on this side of the shelf and the stuff on this side of the shelf. This is just fossilized animals. This is fossilized trees. So it made sense to put it in one place. And you can see I still got a little bit of room back there to grow if need be. I'm not going to become a huge fossil collector, but there's a few fun things here. I think that's probably my favorite piece right there, my megalodon tooth. That's an ancient shark that used to swim the oceans around the time of dinosaurs, and megalodons were basically the size of a blue whale. So that is a small megalodon tooth. Hopefully get a bigger one at some point. I decided to kind of put all my quartz on this shelf here, and since quartz is often connected to pyrite, I put the pyrite here too. So these two are kind of related. You know, everything here is kind of related to each other. And I thought that was good. And once again, I got more space to grow in there if need be. And on this level here, I put a lot of my like calcite and fluorite and stuff like that. Some of my big specimens that, you know, some are actually very, very pretty looking, but, you know, they take up a lot of room. And so a lot of that kind of stuff. And calcites are over here, and I put all my amethysts over here because it's not uncommon to see calcites and amethysts together, and citrine is another one of those things that kind of comes together. You know, a little tourmaline I have over here. You remember I had the tourmaline at one place, and it's moved down to this location here. So these are all things that are kind of related to each other, and I thought that was kind of cool. This actually remains very similar to what I had before. I demoted a few things off of the favorite shelf and moved all the gemstones into the open space here. And of course you can see I got some more open space there. You know, but like I said, these are my favorite things, and it all started, like I said, with this piece here because I got that piece and it's like, okay, well that's got to go on the favorite shelf. But I don't have any room on the favorite shelf. That's what triggered this whole thing, is that piece right there. So, you know, I have my apophyllite and stilbite together with each other here. And like I said, just some of the fun things, the big quartz clusters, which I love. Kara still says that she's jealous that I got that one. So yeah, that's a good one. So I didn't really include any of the spheres in any of the display cases. They're kind of artificial in nature. It doesn't really fit in with any of the rest of the stuff. So I just kind of made the decision to leave it up here. And I also grouped in things that are non-spheres. I have a couple of these pyramids, this quartz pyramid and the Uberlite pyramid. And so basically anything that's artificial has been kind of placed here on top of the shelf. I may end up building some sort of a separate thing for that at some point to display those. Or maybe it's just one of those things that'll be kind of a reoccurring theme around the house where, you know, I'll just put them up all over the house, you know. And that would be kind of cool too. So, you know, just like, oh yeah, there's another sphere. Oh, there's another sphere. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. And of course, this shelf here hasn't really changed that much. This is my UV shelf. What I did do is I took some of the big pieces out of there because there were a couple of large fluorite pieces, and I put them over on the boulder shelf over there. And so that cleared up a lot of room in here. Moved some things that I had in other locations that, you know, were not UV related into this section here so we could see that. So this looks pretty cool. Like I said, it wasn't going to change that much because we have the UV light in here specifically to make this do what it does. So, like I said, that's back to looking good, and I really like how that turned out. And then everything else moved into the remaining shelves. Remember, I kind of broke everything down into categories. So, you know, there were like items kept together, but a lot of this stuff, you know, I got one or two examples of this particular thing, and so it didn't make a whole lot of sense to organize them, you know, by type. So for the stuff that I have, like just a whole bunch of things that are, you know, unique pieces, I kind of sorted them alphabetical. So that's all here, and the beauty is in the cases of things where I do have multiple examples of it. For instance, the celestite here, I've got 3 pieces. Since celestite always starts with a C, it's always going to be in the one part of the alphabet, and I can find that. And that's kind of been cool too, because it's taken things that maybe I didn't realize were the same thing, and made me display them together. For instance, this piece and this piece are the same stuff. This is just a little bit more crystally, but I got to have all my meteorites together, all my malachite, all my labradorite. It's also going to be easy if I'm looking for something specific, because I'm going to be able to know about where I put stuff. So if I wanted to find ocean jasper, I'm going to say, hey, ocean jasper, that's going to probably be under J. We'll find J in the alphabet, and there it is. So yeah, that's all that stuff, and this is the remaining part here. And of course you can see I still got some room to grow here also. So, we got room to add to the collection. Now this is just going to be a temporary solution, unfortunately, because if the rock collection continues to continue, I'm going to run out of space here. But I have something kind of in mind in the back of my head for the future that we may end up implementing at some point once we outgrow this section here. So anyway, I'm really glad I spent the time doing this. It was actually a lot more work, I think, than you might think it is, because you got to pull every piece down, look at it, figure out exactly where you want it to go in the grand scheme of things. Come up with your categories, and then hope that it'll all fit together. But I think it did a really good job. I'm happy with the results, and I think that's the end of this vlog. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you next time. Good night.